866-594-4150. 866-594-4150. We should have we should blink the lights like when the bar closes at night. If we could blink the lights in the whole complex,
intermission,
he would maybe see the lights and then go, "Oh yeah, I have to go upstairs."
We do have an app for that because all the building's all electronic. But I think Shannon's the only one, and maybe Benji, that has that. So if they can look and say, "Oh, somebody left the lights on." That's that button by the door, all on, all off. It's kind of crazy when you look out the window and you can see, 70% of the complex. And if you're here by yourself and it's dark on a weekend and you hit the button and everything lights
goes
up,
on.
everything goes off. It's kind of crazy.
Well. Not only are you late, you didn't even know do you know what time it is?
Hey, we got to give a tribute. Slacker.
I was in a meeting that I called, which I shouldn't have done before a radio show.
Right.
And I said to everybody, I have to go.
Yeah.
And I was just down the hallway.
Sure.
And so I walked in here. I thought you guys were still doing pre-show.
No.
Does Back to the Future count as a car show?
We've been talking about you for a couple minutes now.
What do you
That's
think?
fair.
They say Die Hard. Is it a Christmas movie or not? And
Right.
people argue. Does Back to the Future count as a car show?
Oh, that's a good question.
The whole show, the whole theme revolves around a car.
One car.
Right?
Yeah.
The DeLorean.
Oh, that's a good question.
The guy from that show, the one that's everybody would know, the famous, he had very small part. He died this week, 96, I think, 94, 96. The slacker, Mr. Skinner.
No.
He also played in Top Gun.
Oh, yo, sure.
The bald guy.
James.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that guy.
He gets the buzz. He gets buzzed by Maverick in Top Gun, right?
No.
No.
All
right.
Your body's right.
I'm not getting involved in
Yeah,
that part of the conversation. I'm still thinking about quality control.
He's gonna go another step, and it'll be even more esoteric.
Writing checks your body can't cash or whatever. Well, you know that one. That guy.
I'm glad
I was thinking
glad
of the
I walked
slacker
into
part, though. He was late, and I was like, slacker.
It's fair.
Yeah.
I'm right now. I was a radio show slacker.
You're a slacker, McFly.
All right, let's just start. Let's get
roll.
going.
Welcome to the End of the Hood Show.
Let's talk to Michael. Michael has a car problem. Let's get off of the movies and all the other stuff. Hi, Michael. What can we do for you?
Morning, guys. How's it going?
Good. Well, medium.
Nice. Fair enough. I got a problem with my '09 Ford Focus. I'm hoping you guys can give me a little direction on diagnosing what the issue might be.
Okay.
So, sorry. I'm at a transit station, so it might get kind of noisy here and there.
It's all right.
But basically, the main problem is when I turn the key, car doesn't start, but the lights come on. And I know that usually means you start looking at like the starter switch, the battery, etc. But I've had some strange experiences with the car that leads me to believe it's something else. And unfortunately, I don't have a trusted mechanic that I can just take it to. And I've heard enough horror stories basically about, what happens when you take a car that won't start to somebody who's maybe ethically not at their best, we'll say.
It's a good way to say it. I like that. That's a good way to say it.
So the strange things that I've had with this car is that when I bought it, basically it wouldn't start up right away, which is a horrible reason to buy a car. But what I came to find out was that if I had the key, a specific end of the key turned up, it always turned on, it always worked just fine. But even though it's a double-ended key, for some reason, if it's turned the other way around, it doesn't work. And there's a set of two keys. It was the same way with both, which I've never had with any other car before, and haven't been able to find with an explanation for that. Seems like it might be related, but I don't know.
So it won't crank. It doesn't turn over or anything.
Yeah, the lights come on, but yeah, it doesn't even try to start.
Yep. So turn the key to the start position and push in on the key. Push it in. Turn it to start and then push it towards the column.
Push it in towards the steering column?
Yep. And if it starts right up, go get yourself, take it in and say, I need a new ignition switch and lock cylinder. I see that like all the time.
Well, that's what I've been...
It'll only work so long.
You, but that's what I've been doing.
Did it work? Because if it worked for like a week and then it quit, yeah, it's worn out.
Maybe a month.
Yeah. So I would say that probably 3/4 of all that model ignition switch on those Fords that come to us for a no crank, I walk right out, turn the key, push in on it a little bit, and it fires right up.
And they think you're a magician.
Okay. Yeah, I'm like, yeah, we need to put a lock cylinder. And some of them, it'll work like a couple times. Like I go, oh, that's what it is. And by the time I go out to start it and bring it in to swap it out, I can't because it's not working because the wipers in there are wearing out. And every time you push on it, it just wears a little more. It's already done. So if it worked shortly, a few days, a week, a month, and then it stopped, now it doesn't do it at all, yeah, that's what was going on. Basically, if it ever would only crank when you pushed it in.
Yeah, I missed the fix part of it, though. I think my phone cut out. Like, what should I be looking at?
If it was working for a little bit, if you turned it, went, oh, it's not starting, and you pushed it in one day and went, oh, well, that's how I do it, and it worked for about a week and then quit, what you're going to need is the lock cylinder and ignition switch, the whole assembly there. It comes with a key, lock cylinder, switch, all of it, and you replace that, and you're fixed up. It's got to be programmed because of the program of the car. You'll need 2 keys and that lock cylinder and switch. In order to program it, you need 2 keys.
Okay, gotcha. And is that something like that I would take in specifically to a dealership, or
any place that can do Ford programming? There's been a lot of issues with independent shops and Ford programming lately. It's kind of comes and goes. So you just ask them, can you program keys for a Ford? And if they say sure, then that's a shop that can do it.
Is that a programming that some of these mobile locksmiths that there seems to be more of on the market that have got the technology could do?
They do it. Our mobile guy does it.
Okay, so if you physically had somebody do the work of replacing it, you could have that person come and you might call them first just to make sure what their schedule is and what your schedule is for the car.
Right.
And we're also making the assumption that your electrical system is in good condition, that your wires to the starter are in good condition, the connection is good there, the starter's working, the battery's good.
That's the diagnosis. Did I push in the key and it started for a while?
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, that was one part that I didn't include in the story. Like after a few weeks of it not really starting reliably, suddenly for another week it did, and then I've been able to get it. I've had something else weird though. It's probably related, I'm assuming, but I thought it might be it could be the relays or the fuses. So I popped those open, or I popped the box open, and I basically just pressed in on them gently just to make sure everything was in snug. And they all had like a very, very slight click to them, which probably just from the area like heating and cooling gradually expanding. But after I did that, it just fired up on the first go. Like I turned the key and the car just started immediately. But then, drive the car around for 15 minutes to get the battery, make sure the battery is taken care of, park it, and then it wouldn't start again. And did that like 3 times over the course of a week or two. And but I think it's something, got to be either the key or the electrical system in some way, but everything else seems fine with the electrical system as far as I can tell.
That's pretty easy to diagnose. They can take a voltmeter, connect right to the wire coming out of the ignition switch for the starter and the input, say, oh, we got battery voltage on the input, we got nothing coming out of it, the switch is bad. That's an easy diagnose for a shop looking at it.
Michael, thanks very much for the call. Good luck. 866-594-4150. James Tolkien is the actor who died.
Yeah.
I actually saw that on
the bald guy.
On like
he's always
a little news segment.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, we bring it all back around.
And I actually am in the loop now.
Yeah,
I can't believe he's that old.
Yeah. 866-594-4150. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we want to hear from you on the Under the Hood Show.
If car repair was cheap, you wouldn't need us. We're Under the Hood.
866-594-4150. That's the number to reach us here at the Under the Hood Show. Let's talk to Tom. You're on the Under the Hood Show. Tom, what can we do for you?
Well, I'm driving a 2015 Ram EcoDiesel, and I just recently bought this thing, And when you leave it sit for a couple of days and start it up, you can go about half a mile, and then you get a whole bunch of white smoke, I guess, coming out the tailpipe, and it only lasts for probably 20 seconds, and then there's nothing else showing up. And driving it right now, it seems to run really nice, but the oil pressure at idling is only 19, and I'm wondering, am I looking at some big problems coming up?
Well, you said this truck is new to you?
Yes. Yep. It's got 206,500 some miles, and I had just bought it. It came from Arkansas, and it's absolutely rust free. And
those trucks are extremely popular as far as their fuel economy and the way they run when they run good. Are that motor in the Grand Cherokees and different vehicles. People really like them when they're working. When they don't, they become a very, very problematic, expensive experiment. So the white smoke in your case is just the vehicle telling you that it's elected a new owner every time. You know, it's
like a pope.
Yeah, it's just saying, "Yep, got a new owner." That's what it's doing every time it goes.
Yep.
But 200 and some thousand miles is impressive.
That it even
just that it hasn't had other trauma in its life. But did you buy it from the original owner?
No. So the one code that comes up too is service electronic throttle control. When you start the motor, it just says that after a little bit, service throttle control. Is that a hard thing to service?
No, that means it needs repair. That's a code for that system. It doesn't mean just clean it.
That's
means,
a good.
You know, like service oil. Oh, I need to change my oil. Service throttle. That people do think, well, what do I need to do? Clean it? It's like, no,
right.
It means there's an electronic fault in there. And see, that thing doesn't open up a throttle to give the engine more air. It's got a throttle blade like the Duramax has, and that's controlling emissions and things.
Okay.
But it uses the injection. It feeds it more fuel to give it more throttle. So if you've got a problem with that, and it were to close that butterfly or it wasn't working like it's supposed to, you could get some white smoke because you're going to have a difference in the boost pressure and stuff. That needs to be serviced. And I guess if I had bought one of these trucks and it had come from down south where you don't have the corrosion issues,
sure.
For me personally, on my truck, I'm going to try to take the glow plugs out of it.
But not on that one.
Okay.
On that one.
That EcoDiesel, good luck.
I am going to try to take them out and I don't want you to, or your mechanic to, but for myself, if I own the truck, only because it's from down south, and I'd be very gentle on it. I might even get a torque wrench that works in reverse to just make sure I don't torque them so much that I break them off. You know, if they're torqued at 40, I'm going to set my torque wrench at 40 on a one that, because not all torque wrenches go backwards, and I would try to take it out. And if it comes out at 38, I'd be like, oh, great, that one's good. But if it's like not coming out when I get to that torque spec, I'm not going to touch it because they break off, and then you're looking at, $10,000 to tear it down.
Why are you taking the glow plugs out, Russ?
Because they can. Because they don't come out up here in our
No, I know, because I just came from Toronto. That's where I was last week at a meeting, and they were all saying in their forum where they all talk to each other, dismantling forum, they were like, what do you guys do with your EcoDiesels to get the glow plugs out?
Well, friends of mine in Texas are changing glow plugs on those. They're like, well, we never have a problem with them. Oh, well, if you're not having a problem with them, why are we? It must be the climate. So if you could get it out, clean it.
Does that have anything to do with the problem he says he's having?
No, but I'm just thinking myself.
Because for us, that comes to mind right away because it's such a pain up here.
Well,
we ruin engines trying to get glow plugs out.
And we have people that have one glow plug out, and they're like, yeah, they say I've got a glow plug out, and it starts a little hard. It's like, well, just put up with it because unless you're ready to spend probably $10,000 to get the thing out, tearing it down, those are extremely expensive engines. And here's the other thing. Most people I know around here won't even work on one. We won't work. I won't touch one.
Nice.
I won't change the oil in one.
Okay.
We just don't do it. I'll do brakes and things like that, but I won't open the hood to do anything.
You don't want to be the I touched it
No,
last.
we don't. We don't. And as far as I know, the dealership won't work on it unless it's under warranty, because it's one of those things now, unless they feel that they're slow and they're okay with if something's not good, and we'll just price them out an engine. But I've had several customers with both the Chevy small diesels and that Ram
I've seen
EcoDiesel.
I've seen it on both occasions where there's some smaller town shops that said, I don't have anybody here with the training. I don't really want to do this for the same reasons. Yeah. Now, we're painting a really ugly picture, and it's kind of true.
Yeah.
But
Man,
I'd start with that throttle body.
So good.
Yeah. I'd start with the throttle body service. If I owned it, if I was like not a mechanic, but I owned it and I just picked it up like this and it was that nice, I'd be like, well, let's get it in, see if we can get that throttle thing fixed so it starts and runs great every day, and sell it to somebody else for a whole lot of money because it's such a nice truck.
It's I don't know. I don't. It seems like we're painting too ugly of a picture, aren't we, Russ?
Just get on the internet and
I know, but
the oil pressure
search
19
success stories.
Is that fine?
It's got a variable oil pump in it, so yeah, that seems normal to me.
But that's 200,000 miles on it. Somebody drove it that far,
right?
That's 200,000 miles.
Right. I know, but somebody drove it that far, so that's not all bad.
It was great until now.
Well, it's not bad yet. He's just got to get somebody to service that code.
Or is it? No. Yeah, check the code first and see what they think. Have them give it a once-over, used car inspection. Let them tell you what they think the shape of the engine is.
But he already bought it.
Well, he bought it, but at least he knows if there's other things that need to be repaired to prevent more expensive repairs.
I would just make some phone calls to different diesel shops, and that say they work on light duty stuff also.
Okay.
And just ask them, hey, do you work on the EcoDiesels?
Light duty diesels.
Yeah, and find out, because that is a trouble spot. We see that like the Colorado Canyons with the little diesels in them, the GM 3 liters. There seems to be more serviceability people out there for them, but we're seeing the same thing where shops say, I'm just not going to work on that truck. It's just a better experience for my life if I don't work on that truck. And
I felt so good when it started because you said the people that have good luck with that engine
they do.
love it.
Whoever got that thing to 200,000 miles is not having this conversation.
No, and we don't know what they spent on it, but if they didn't spend anything, that's amazing because they got a truck that got crazy fuel mileage that overcame the cost of the engine that they paid
Russ,
for.
We have also had Grand Cherokees in here with 300,000 miles on with that motor. I mean, so people are driving
60.
them. That's right. That's why we're so jaded on this, because we've seen the worst.
All right, you guys stop talking for a second.
I know,
Tom,
but this isn't getting any better.
I thank you for calling. I hope
Sure.
I hope your day goes better.
A lot of it has to do with emission systems cleanings. There's people that drive those that come into our shop that I've had them in for tires and things, but they've done emission system cleaning kits on those diesels. They've changed the oil on a regular basis. I've got other people that come in, and when they have a problem, it seems to me when we start checking, we're like, well, why did you go 15,000 in the oil change? Well, it's fine. I'm like, okay.
This call went like Tom's truck. It started out fine, got about a half mile in, got some white smoke.
We said we were at a 6 today, not a 10.
Hey, Tom, I'm gonna end this call. I feel like I need to take over here on this one. I'm really happy for you that you bought this nice clean truck down south, and the fact that it runs good when it runs good, and you've got this one code and the one puff of smoke. You're gonna find a shop that will work on it. They're gonna clean the emission system. They're gonna check it all out. The code's going to go away, and you're going to be able to enjoy this truck.
He's going to call us in 6 years and go, you remember that truck that you said was so horrible? I haven't done anything to it.
Yeah, and I would not try to take your glow plugs out like Russ suggested.
No, that's for me to do.
I know. Do not do that.
If I owned it.
If the glow plugs are not a problem, leave them alone. Don't touch them.
Don't let anybody else touch them.
Maybe I'll just show up one of these days with it.
We don't open the hood.
No, that's what Russ would probably come out with, like a Dracula situation with like garlic around his neck or something.
Move on. These are not the droids you're looking for. Tom, thanks very much for the call. Good luck. Sorry. I'm sorry.
That went terrible. I'm not happy about that call.
We're going to take a break. When we come back, we want to hear from you. The phone number to reach us, 866-594-4150. You're listening to the Under the Hood Show.
Doug, no more EcoDiesels.
No, we're not even going to take those calls anymore.
Sorry.
We love you too. Under the Hood. America's favorite car talk show.
866-594-4150. Don't forget, if you miss an episode of the show, you can find it wherever you get your podcasts. If you subscribe to our YouTube channel where you can watch the show and join the Hoodie Fan Club at underthehoodshow.com, you could win a hoodie.
Like Tom Eubanks, congratulations from our friends over at Berkeley One Classics. They're celebrating over 50 years of collector car coverage and protection for that vehicle you love. Check them out, berkeley1classics.com. Mm-hmm. Get a lot of those people that call the show, Berkeley One Classics vehicles. And if we're good, we'll guess the color. If we're not, you get a free hoodie.
I found my project car.
What is it?
My brother and I told you we're going to get a project car that we don't.
The project that's not a project?
Yeah,
project?
We don't live near each other, so we're just going to argue about what car we should have. A Isuzu Amigo.
Oh,
it's perfect.
Amigo.
Yeah, I'd go get an Isuzu Amigo.
You get a Fuego instead.
Yeah, no, don't muddle this. We finally agreed. Not really. But
I just popped into my head. I was like, an Amigo. Oh, there it is.
If
those things are so hot these days, there's not even any for sale.
What's the last price you saw on a decent one when you were doing this exercise?
I looked everywhere. I saw, I think, 3 nationwide on Facebook.
Is that because there's only 3 left?
Yeah. And 2 of them were like $6,000, but they were bulked up. They had bars and then there was one that was like $2,800, something like that.
I see where it is. They're out there, but either people don't want to sell them because they like them and they're in decent shape, or they're sitting in our backfield.
Yeah, I don't think there's any out there that people like that are in great shape.
But if you see them, they're no in between. Usually, it's like crazy money, and they're decked out. They're not crazy money in just stock. They're way over the top. Or if you're lucky, you find one. I mean, I run into the same Monte Carlo, the same certain years are the same way. They're out there.
I'll go one step further.
And some other cars are like that.
The last model year was kind of ugly, so they're not super on my list.
So you want like a 98?
Yeah.
Right in there?
Yeah, 98, 96,
or is it 90?
And then it ended in like 99.
Somebody's driving a Samurai in our town. When the weather's decent, I'll see it drive in the morning. They're headed to work, and it's got like 33s on it. It's jacked up a little bit. It's green, and I'll see them because it's got no exhaust. So it's like as it goes by. I'm like,
and then restart. We've been able to go. Not getting any check engine light. Had a mechanic look at it once. Said it was fine.
Of course. Those are the worst ones.
So what are your thoughts?
Oh
yeah.
I'm like the mechanic.
What motor did you say it has, or did you not?
Broken one.
Well, I did not. It does have an EcoBoost.
1.5.
But I don't. What size?
1.5. Not what size. 1.5.
1.5 EcoBoost.
Okay. Yeah. Turbo, 4-cylinder, great engine when it works. Can get their biggest faults. They have 2, and the first one is coils and spark plugs. Make sure you get, if you're doing that as a tune-up item, once they hit about 60,000, it's time. They start having misfire issues that can be randomized. You need a really good quality coil, like a Motorrad coil that's got extra windings that they put in them, heavier epoxy. They're just stronger, more durable. They hold up really well for the heat because you're generating a lot of heat in that. And then as far as spark plugs go, an OEM spark plug, a good factory Motorcraft spark plug in there. Don't put anything cheap on there, and definitely don't ever put anything from Amazon on there because you don't know what you're getting. Even if it says his name brand, it might not be. Sure. Beware of those. Those engines are real sensitive. That's the number 1 issue. The number 2 issue we see on those engines is what they call a porous block. It's more of a screen door than an aluminum cast block, and it lets coolant through into the cylinder, and at very low RPM, like at idle, or under high pressures when you are really trying to accelerate on the on-ramps and things like that, and then you let off on it and come to a stop, it can allow coolant usually into the number 3 cylinder, and there's no fix to it. You can try K-Seal. That has fixed a few of these. It's a product that it'll fix small leak if there's no pressure behind it, like from the cylinder, but it won't seal a leak that's so big it's like a heater core. It won't plug a heater core because it won't seal a leak that big. But that is a fix, and that's important for people to know that have these cars that have been told they need an engine, and they don't want to put an engine in it because it's got 180,000 miles, and they're not thinking about it. These cars are still selling for in that 10,000 range or so. So if they're running great, because you can't beat the fuel economy. So a lot of people are putting engines in them. But the two things we see is besides the porous block and the coolant leaking in is the ignition mainly. And I think if you drive this long enough and it keeps doing what it's doing and you're not seeing any coolant loss, it's probably going to come down to the ignition. You're going to get a misfire code. A shop's going to be able to track that and see it, and they'll say we need to put coils and plugs in this thing to fix this issue. It can come up kind of sudden. It can do what yours is doing, then all of a sudden, boom! It's got a hard miss on one.
And it can do that sometimes without a check engine light. With in that base ignition. But usually you'll get a misfire code though. But
most of the time you do. But occasionally I've had these cars actually missing while I'm sitting in them, and the misfire monitor is not setting. I see the miss. It says, "Oh, cylinder 2 is missing." There's 150 misfires. It's shaking, but it's not setting the code. It's just the way the misfire profile works.
Anything related to the turbos and wastegates on what you see there?
Very few. I'll have these cars where, one of these small engines will lose a timing belt, like on an Escape or something, and destroy the engine. But turbos they're on the lower list for small engines.
Kind of been a GM thing on some of those turbos.
Cruise, those things, Spark or whatever. Anything with a small turbo, they have had issues. But yeah, these have been pretty good turbo-wise.
Craig, thanks very much for the call. Good luck. 866-594-4150. Let's talk to Reese. You're on the Under the Hood Show. Reese, what can we do for you?
Hey, good morning, guys. Love listening to your show.
Thank you.
I've got a 2005 Pontiac Bonneville with 190,000 miles on it.
Good deal.
And the transmission has started slipping, and it's getting worse. I've got my daughter driving it back and forth to school, trying to get her to just stay in town with it. Is there anything a guy can do to help that situation, or are we just on a whim and a prayer?
Well, those cars are still sought after for people as far as that they got a lot of room. You can put a lot of people and cargo in them, and they still get great gas mileage, high 20s on those usually. We have a lot of people repairing those. I did a Bonneville transmission in one of our guys did this week. We put a transmission in an 05 Bonneville. We did a transmission in an 04 Bonneville the week before that. We did one in a LeSabre, which was the same thing not too many months ago. I mean, they're still pretty popular, and people are still doing them. And when we're putting these things in, we put a used one in, save you a whole ton of money, and it's got a year warranty on it, parts and labor. So, I mean, that only works here in our town in Garrettson, South Dakota. But as far as, around the country, I'm sure you could find other shops too that would pick up a certified transmission from a partner like Cardash Part, be able to put it in for you at a local independent shop and still save you some money and get some kind of warranty on it. I just think if you look at this car and you go, okay, transmission's slipping, let's just get rid of it, maybe get $100 or $200 out of it somewhere as is. What am I going to replace it with? Oh, if I can find a Bonneville that's in good shape, I'll buy one for what, $6,000-$7,000. It makes more sense to fix what you got, because those engines, wow, they're pretty tough. We saw so many of these make 300,000 miles.
As far as what you can do now is just drive it gently.
Yeah, if you change the fluid. Okay. If somebody says we'll change the fluid and help you, you're going to waste money.
Yeah, Russ had one in one of our company cars.
I drove it really gently all the way to Minneapolis.
You got an extra 10,000 miles out of that, probably.
And
and it already had the code for long shift, max adapt.
And the last trip I made was we went up to Minneapolis because we had a event for a vendor, and we drove up there, and on the way up I got to Worthington, and it shifted. It took off in second gear, and I went uh-oh, and it got into overdrive. And I just left it there. I didn't slow down far enough or it would downshift, and I kept it there, and it was chugging pretty hard. And I went the whole way without stopping because I didn't think it'd shift again. I got into Minneapolis, parked it, and on the way back, I didn't even get to Rochester, and it went into second gear, and it stayed there. So I set my cruise at 40 miles an hour on the interstate and just left it there the entire way back to Sioux Falls. And when I got just to my exit and had to stop, it wouldn't go anymore. So you can go a long way. And I think on these, we have had a lot of customers who went, oh, it died and wouldn't shift anything but second. But they were able to drive at 50 miles home in second gear going 40 miles an hour.
Understand they got to watch their RPMs. Did you say you have that code?
Yeah, it's already kicking the code. I don't know. I had my buddy reset it. It was also kicking 402 code, and he reset everything for me. It's done. You saying?
With the max adapt long shift, it means it's already turned up the pressure as high as it can in order to firm up the shift by giving it more pressure. But it means long shift, even though it's turned up all the way, you're still having a long, slow shift. So it means it's on its way out. Now, you might be able to drive it, like Shannon said. You might be able to drive this thing another few thousand miles if you're real careful with it. It's probably going to shift hard. Then you turn the key off, turn it back on, and it goes back to normal for a little bit. That's the indication that you need to start saving those pennies, because you're either going to replace it or replace the car within the next several months.
Would it help him if he was, you said your daughter's going to drive it, but just by manually shifting it gently?
No, not at all. You got to let it do its thing so it doesn't get confused, and then just be gentle with it. And it's hard to tell a kid how to drive.
What an interesting, Reese, thanks very much for the call. Good luck. What an interesting conundrum that puts in my head. Because when I was that age, school age, driving a car, if I had a car that I could baby and I could have driven it for another 10 years. But if my daughter had that same car, I wouldn't tell her that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'd probably tell my son that, but not my
First
daughter.
thing they do is floor it. I need a new car, Dad.
We're going to take a break. When we come back, we want to hear from you. The phone number to reach us, 866-594-4150. You're listening to the Under the Hood Show.
Die-hard car geeks, we love you. Folks that know nothing about cars, we love you too. Under the Hood, America's favorite car talk show.
866-594-4150. That's the number to reach us here at the Under the Hood Show. Let's go to Tennessee and talk to Mark. You're on the Under the Hood Show. Mark, what can we do for you?
Good morning, guys. How you doing?
Great.
Good.
Okay, I got a Ford F-150 2020 with the 5.0 Coyote motor, and it's got 200,000 miles on it. And I'm starting to get a low oil pressure warning. And of course, it has full of oil. And just recently changed the oil and still getting the same reading. So I Googled and said that I got a response that Ford has problems with that switch. So I changed the switch, and I'm still having the same problem.
I've got to go back here because my mind got jumbled between a 20 F-150. How many miles did you say it had?
200,000.
Okay. That's just, I had to ask again because for a 2020, that's, it's already 6 years old, but that's a lot of miles. It's been used well. How many of those have you owned it?
Brand new. I owned it the whole time. I do a lot of traveling because I am a NHRA, IHRA drag racer.
Oh, fun.
Nice.
So we've been towing the whole time with this?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, I have a toter that tows, and then I use the truck for travel.
Okay. Well, if you're that's a good thing to know then, because if you've had this truck just on the highway driving it, 200,000 miles is nothing for one of these. They really go a long way like that. But we've also had people with 100 on these that have towed the entire 100,000 miles, and we've had some issues with them because they were overloaded. A guy towing a landscape trailer or a fishing boat, no problem. But they've got a lot of power. So I've had some people pulling
house movers,
like 10,000-pound trailers with them. They're like, "Oh, I'm okay," because they said it's good to tow 11. I'm like, that's not 80%, and you're overloaded at times. But yeah, this thing. My first step in our shop where we're doing these kind of repairs, I would pull out the oil pressure sending unit. I'd put a T in there, and I'd put so I could hook it up and still have the electrical portion. You need that to drive it. And then watch that gauge and see what my gauge is actually reading. And if it's low,
right, we thought of that.
You know, if it's low, I've seen these engines fail from excess wear inside where they're bleeding to death. You got mains and rods that are excessive clearance, cam bearings, excessive clearance, and all together, it just lowers that pressure at idle. You could, if you're trying to cover it up, and it's your own truck and you're trying to drive it a little longer and the engine's quiet and doesn't burn any oil, you could put a different, relief spring in that oil pump and just to bump up that pressure just a little bit, or put a high volume pump in it.
Because it's probably not worth it to break the engine down. But if you guys are deep into that stuff as racers, you might have some fun tearing it apart and seeing what you got. But most people are not. Most people are not going to be able to afford the pieces.
He does this all day. He doesn't want to go work on his own truck when he's done.
Well, the problem is getting to the oil pan and everything, because it's got 4-wheel drive. It's kind of a pain. So yeah, you gotta and you can't pull the motor because you can't get to the transmission bolt unbolted.
Well,
you gotta
make it easy. Make it easy on yourself. Make it easy on yourself. Get it on a two post hoist, and do as Ford designed it, and lift the cab off.
Yeah.
That's what I just said. Do a cab off.
Yeah, that's what.
If I'm gonna go that route, I got a wrecking yard that has a 24 5.0 with only 30,000 miles on it, and I was thinking about just swapping the motor out and just do away with the issue.
That's always a good choice too. We do that at our own shop. We put a lot of used engines in, a lot of remanufactured engines in, and get vehicles going again. It sure beats the cost of switching to a newer vehicle. Even I had somebody the other day that they fixed their car, but the reason they didn't switch to another one, they said, well, it pencils out pretty good. But I encouraged them, call your insurance agent too.
Oh.
And ask him what it's going to cost.
The cost of insurance is way up right now. Yeah.
$100 more a month to drive a vehicle that was 7 years newer, and it was basically the same vehicle.
Wow, I never thought
it was a Ford Escape.
That doesn't come into the formula all the time when you're thinking about a repair.
Ford Escape, and they were going to get a 2023 Ford Escape versus the one they had, and they were like, "Yeah, it's going to run you $100 more a month." They're like, "For what? It looks the same." It's like, that's what they run. So,
Mark, I'm going to be in Tennessee next week. What part of Tennessee are you in?
Well, I live in a small little town called Bell Buckle.
Where is that at? I'm going to be going
towards about an hour south of Nashville.
We're in our show's in Franklin, which is north up there.
Yeah, I'm going to be in Georgetown. I think is where the wedding we have to go to is Georgetown, Tennessee.
I think that's Georgetown. I think that's east of Nashville. I'm not sure.
Yeah,
northeast.
I've looked at it on the map, and I just can't remember right now. We got to fly into Nashville, but I was thinking that. Okay? Let's tell us a little bit more about this NHRA car before we get off. What is it? What class are you in? What are you running?
I run an exhibition wheel standard.
Cool.
Fun. Oh wow.
We used to see a few of those.
Like the little red wagon.
Yeah. I'm from an area down
in 1970 Chevy Nova.
Oh, cool.
That is fun.
Nice.
I'm from an area down in East Texas where when I lived there in the 80s, we had probably 20 tracks. And the last one down there, the old War in the Woods, it's out of Paris. It's gone. This was the last year for it. And it was sad because they had them everywhere. And we used to see, you'd line people up for exhibition cars like that and street stock and everything. And they were just everywhere, and they were so much fun. But
hey, Mark, I think
they're still
this is not a. When you're racing this thing, it can't be a Berkeley One Classic. But I do think we have to guess the color of this.
I was just gonna say.
I think we have to guess the color of this, and I think one way or another he needs to get a hoodie.
Agreed.
To wear at the track.
Yeah. Come on, Doug.
I think one way or another he gets a hoodie to wear at the track.
Not yet.
Okay.
Not yet, Doug.
All right. So I think it's a 70 Nova, and it's a wheel stand car, and every magazine I remember looking at back then they were white.
I was just fed a YouTube video 2 days ago of a yellow Nova on the strip.
Russ?
I think it's red, but I think it's got a ton of stripes on it.
I'm going to say stickers.
Not stickers. The big stripes, the big wide.
Uh-huh.
All right. What do we got, Mark?
Several colors on those.
Okay, so originally the car was named Smoky Red, and it was a candy apple red. But then when I attained the car, it is now burnt orange. Metallic burnt orange with purple, silver, pink, and what other colors? One other color stripes on it. And, and actually it's going through a rehab right now, and we're going to bring it back orange, but we're going to put ghost flames and some additional striping on the side.
Well, it sounds like you're having a lot of fun. I think your Ford with 200,000 miles has probably gotten just a little bit loose inside, and that's why you're losing the oil pressure. But check it out manually first, and hopefully you can get that figured out. That recycled original equipment engine from another truck. I will just give this bit of advice for people because we're using Mark's call here.
Mm-hmm.
But if you are going to go online to Car Part, the majority of the recyclers on there are very, very good operators. And I still encourage people, especially if you see something on Facebook,
Yes.
That you get a VIN number so you can do a vehicle history report, no different than if you're going to buy a car. And that VIN number, they need to be able to track that to the engine that you're buying. And that's a easy truth serum just to make sure you get what you say you're going to get. I know, like at our certified auto recycling facility, my friends that are in the industry, they're taking pictures of the odometer. They're giving you the invoice with the ticket. You can go see pictures of the vehicle it came out of and match that VIN number. This shouldn't be hard. But there are a lot of people that broker. But
speculate.
Even when we broker from another yard, we get their ticket with the VIN number and verify it. And so just be aware. So it sounds like you got some connections there already, but sounds like you're having fun. And when you say wheel stands, how high are we going?
One more quick question.
Oh, go ahead.
Is there a way I can cross-reference the 24 Ford to where if that motor will match up with my truck?
Well, one thing that we do in our industry is we have the Hollander interchange, and it's pretty good. It's not perfect. Sometimes it gets a little too technical. And sometimes our default is to call the remanufacturer or the dealer and see what year range the remanufactured engine fits.
Okay.
And a lot of times they'll have one part number that runs from 2015 to 2023, and then it switches to a new part number at 2024.
Fits as alarm block, yeah.
And the reason it switched to 2024 is because it had a different tone ring on the crankshaft or something, and it doesn't work. So that's how we check for sure if we need to know.
866-594-4150. Hour 2 is coming up. Thanks for listening to the Under the Hood Show.
You're listening to the Nordstrom's Under the Hood Show with the Motor Medics, Shannon Nordstrom and Russ the Super Tech Evans. Shannon is an ASE engine and parts specialist, and Russ is an ASE Master Certified Technician with extensive factory drivability training. The Under the Hood Show is heard weekly on this and other great radio stations.
With Russ Evans, this is Shannon Nordstrom, thanking you for tuning in to the Nordstrom's Under the Hood Show. Have a great day, and remember, PTLA.
The opinions heard on this program, based on the many years of experience of Russ and Shannon, are offered for entertainment value and as a guide to your repair needs. No guarantee to repair or cause is given or implied. Always check with your favorite certified technician and follow all safety procedures before attempting repair. The Nordstrom's Under the Hood Show with the Motor Medics is reproduced and distributed by Prairie House Productions. Have questions for the Motor Medics? Call our 24-hour toll-free number, 866-594-4150. All content of the Under the Hood Show is the property of Nordstrom's Incorporated. Copyright Nordstrom's Automotive and may be reproduced with our permission. Now, let's go under the hood with the Nordstrom's Motor Medics.
Welcome to the Under the Hood Show. We are glad to have you with us. Russ Evans is here to answer your automotive questions.
Thanks for joining us under the hood.
Shannon Nordstrom is here to do the same.
Welcome, hoodies. Thanks for tuning in so we can help you tune up.
I'm Chris Carter here to answer your calls at 866-594-4150. 866-594-4150. See it? I did it.
You did. And I had to think about my tagline there because not only did I not do it last week, I didn't do it at the beginning of our last show either.
It's been a while.
Yeah.
We'll get to that. I want to find out where you've been since we talked last. Because you've been around in the...
I know, and it's not going to get any lighter. So
Well, let's start off. Let's ignore you for a minute.
Please.
And talk to Pat. You're on the Under the Hood Show. Pat, what can we do for you?
Hey, thanks for having me. I love your program, guys.
Thank you very much.
I finally got myself a decent pickup to tow my 16,500 pound gooseneck trailer with a load on. You wouldn't believe what I was pulling with before, but I bought a 2025 F350 Power Stroke. And a couple questions. They say Blue Def Platinum is the best def, but is there really any difference in what def would you recommend I should be using?
Peak Blue Def. That's the only thing that we would put in that vehicle. It's kind of synonymous with the best def out there. It's like, what do I get? Peak. It's blue.
Okay, what did you call that again?
Peak. P-E-A-K, capital P, capital E, capital A, capital K. You'll see it.
Oh, okay.
The peak.
It's got the mountain peaks on it.
Yeah, a little white mountain
I've
behind
seen
it.
that.
Yeah,
Yep.
Get that. It says Blue Def.
Okay.
And you'll find it pretty much everywhere.
They're a partner of ours.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Now, let me ask you...
and
hold on a second there, Pat. Let me ask you the question he wants to ask. We all want to ask. Is there a big difference?
Oh, yeah. Some of the purity of some of those defs are not very good.
Okay. So there are good ones.
Yeah.
And okay.
Yeah, a lot. There's some that, and so here's the thing with def systems. They're very expensive to fix, very problematic when they break. They just had a ruling about
I was just
EPA.
gonna say,
it's like, hey,
also, we're not going to talk about that because it's just
there's a lot to it.
right.
Yeah,
I did dig into it, but
we'll do a little separate about that if we get time.
yeah, but the reason, problems.
Yeah.
The fix for problems right now is better def, and that would be Peak Blue Def.
Okay. All right. Now there's a Blue Def Platinum, which I think is supposedly a step up from what you just talked about, unless I'm mixed up. Supposedly has better capability of getting the ash out of the particulate filter. Maybe that's not necessarily true.
Well, yeah, it's the Platinum is going to be just the highest level you can get for the very cleanest. It's like when you're going kind of like we've got synthetic oil, we've got conventional oil, and then we have synthetic high mileage oil or increased fuel economy high mileage oil. They have low ash formula oils. There's just different blends that you can go. But on this truck, you want to try to keep it as clean as possible. So if you can go with a higher, cleaner version, choose the very best product you can on that.
Okay. Next question. I started out, I run this trailer down about 120 miles down to some farm ground we have, and then I do some work down there. So I started out running it in 8th gear at about 2,000 RPM, and I did a little digging around, and maybe I should be leaving it in drive. I put it in the tow haul mode, but what's the optimal RPM for that engine, in your opinion, when you're towing about 16,500 pounds down the road?
In overdrive with the tow haul button pushed, it'll know what to do.
The truck knows better than you.
Yeah, the truck can monitor the torque that's being applied through the transmission, and it will automatically adjust to the proper RPM versus road speed, temperature, torque, everything by being in that tow haul mode. Now, tow haul only works properly when you're loaded at about 75%. If you're overloaded, it doesn't work like it should. Or if you're very underloaded, if you're only pulling 20% of what the truck's rated at, it doesn't work as well, but it's better protection than not using it all. The optimum, though, I was just reading this like 2 days ago. The optimum tow rate is at 75% of the vehicle's rated capacity when using tow haul. So I don't know what yours is rated at exactly, but if you look up trailer towing for a whatever you're pulling for that gooseneck, fifth wheel, whatever it is, and see what that is, you'll get kind of an idea. But either way, you're pulling 16,000 pounds. You need to be using tow haul mode.
Yep, and I do. Yep.
There you go.
Well, I have not experienced something that'll pull as good as that thing is, and like I say, this is the first time I've had a pickup that really is supposed to be for what I'm doing, and so far I love it.
You've teased us twice about what the previous pickup is. I'm asking the follow-up question.
Yeah.
What is the truck that you're embarrassed that you were towing with before 16,500 pounds? It's done. It's over. We can't unring the bell. What was it?
An 08 F350 with a 5.4.
I thought it'd come up. It was a 2012 Ford F-150 EcoBoost, 3.5 EcoBoost with airbags.
Okay, and in all seriousness, here we're gonna stay here for a little bit. Did it finally break, or did you break it while you were using it? How'd that go?
No, I babied the thing. I never floored the gas pedal, and I took off slow from stop signs, and I drove slow. And on really hot days, a crazy man that I probably am, I would open the windows and run the heater to get a little more heat off the engine. And I just babied it because I knew that I was pushing it pretty hard.
They must have had the tow package.
It did.
Yeah.
And I never asked it more than just a fraction of what it really could do, because I knew that if you asked that engine to do all it'll do, it'd probably blow itself up. So
it would have
pushed it, but
it would have. How many miles did you use it that way?
182,000. But I drove it probably 6-7 years, about 7,000 miles a year, like that. Probably 6 years, 7,000 miles a year. Pulling that trailer.
Okay, it wasn't pulling all the time, but 7,000 miles a year it did pull.
Yes. Yep.
What are you pulling?
But a Bobcat with attachments on a gooseneck trailer.
Okay. And you never apparently had to stop really hard.
Well, it's got trailer brakes, but yes, that was the other thing, is you had to be pretty careful about that too. That's right.
Not recommended what he did,
yeah,
but he did it, and now I had to ask, Chris. Russ, I had to ask.
You know what's going to happen now, though?
What's that?
He's got the right truck, and you know what's going to happen. It's not going to let.
What's that?
It's not going to let. It's not going to work.
Oh, he's going to get the right truck, and now it's going to break.
Right.
Just because that's what's going to happen now. Please don't say that. Set the cruise control and enjoy it.
Yeah. All I can say is, you guys recommend, don't go over 80% of the capacity. And you're right. I mean, when you step into a vehicle that's rated to do what you're doing, it's the difference between night and day. The ride, the chassis, and everything is really, and the brakes and everything is made to do it. Whereas you can get by and you get lucky and you might get by for a long time, but long term, you really shouldn't do it. And I was doing it because I just wasn't ready to buy another pickup.
It's a lot of money. So
do that again.
A lot of people that do the same thing. They make it work until they can't. Did you dually truck or single wheel?
Single.
All right. Well, enjoy that truck and take care of it.
And the Blue Def Platinum is peak. It's peak Blue Def Platinum. So there you go. Pat, thanks very much for the call. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we want to hear from you. 866-594-4150.
If your Band-Aid can is empty because you have so many dash lights on, you need to call Under the Hood.
866-594-4150. That's the number to reach us here at the Under the Hood Show. Right now, let's go to Washington and talk to Clint. You're on the Under the Hood Show. Clint, what can we do for you?
Hey, guys. I got a 2008 Chevy Express. It's a 3500 with a 4L80E, and I'm getting a P0894 error code. It's for a transmission slip detected. So far, I did hoping to do something. I had the transmission flushed, and I put a Transgo shift kit in. I'm wondering if it's worth it to start putting solenoids in, or just what you think of just putting a new transmission in or a reman.
probably got slipping clutches in it. I mean, that thing's pretty good at monitoring the input and the output and what gear it's in, and it'll know the ratio in every single gear. And if it sees that ratio has changed, it knows it's slipping, and it'll also give codes for individual gears too. So it sounds like it's worn itself out probably.
Okay. Yeah, I've just kind of figured each time I open the pan, it's a couple $100. Is it worth it to start putting solenoids? But I could feel a delay in shifting, but it's never like clunked in. I don't have gears grinding or anything. It's just not right. The timing isn't right.
Yeah, it's probably just worn itself out. Clutch material's worn off, so it's slipping between those gears, and it's giving it delayed shifts.
Clint, how many miles you got on it?
Okay, perfect. 175,000.
Yeah, you'd like to have them
it's
go.
The 4L80E.
I know, good strong transmission. It's they've adapted that thing clear back from a TH400 into the electronic version it is today, and it's a strong transmission. But once you add the electronics on it, once it starts getting to a certain point where it's stretched its legs as far as it can, then you start getting the trouble codes, and you just got to baby it until you're ready to spend the money, most likely, because it's not telling you that you have.
That's kind of what I figured.
Yeah, it's not telling you that you have any like wrong shifts or anything. It's just saying it's not right. It's not synchronized right.
Yeah. Does that help you out there, Clint?
Very generic code. Yeah, for sure it does. Thank you.
Thanks very much for the call.
Guys, think of what it took to come up with that first automatic transmission. The person who said, what can we do? We've got this area of room that we normally put a manual transmission in. Let's do something different. Okay, we'll make a round case, because most of them have always been that round tunnel. Like, let's put some drums in there. Okay, first step, let's make drums that when you hold one, the other one spins, and it makes it go in a higher gear ratio every time until we're 1-to-1. They weren't even thinking of overdrive. And then once they got that down, they're like, okay, how can we direct fluid to go to each one of those and fill up that area to hold these clutch packs together to go down the road? And some of the first ones were actually more reliable than some of the later ones, because they were just 2-speed, power glide to start with. But it's quite a feat to think of engineering and how far we've come with cars. And now, boy, if you'd show a 10-speed today or a 12-speed to an engineer from 1930 that was coming up with a 2-speed.
Go look up an animation of a 10-speed automatic transmission.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
It's like you're looking at an MC Escher print, like I'm on mushrooms watching the
ending
world.
Staircase.
Yeah, exactly.
It goes to nowhere.
Insane. And by the way, I don't understand any of it. So even when you're saying the two, I don't imagine how it felt for them. I got nothing for transmissions, man. They're a mystery.
It's like an ant looking at the internet.
866.
They have their own.
594-4150. Let's talk. They try to stay away from webs.
Yeah, they do.
Art in Pennsylvania. Art, what can we do for you?
Good morning, guys. Thanks for taking my call.
You bet.
I got a mystery to me with the four-wheel drive on a 2015 Chevy HD 2500. Manual shift transfer case. Transfer case does engage. The front differential was not engaging. Did research and found that the wire that should have 12 volts only had 4.5 volts. So I forced power to it, got it to engage, and we've had four-wheel drive all winter in the front axle, but the problem is it's staying permanently engaged. And hopefully this will tell you something. When it goes in now, the indicator on the light, I'm told, no longer lights. I'm sorry, the indicator on the dash, I'm told no longer is indicating that you're in four-wheel drive, even though you are. So where does that wire get its power from, or what might be a common element I can look for?
The power comes out of the...
And the fuses are good.
Yeah, the power comes out of that fuse box. That front differential is powered when the key is in the on position, and so is the transfer case. When you put it into four-wheel drive, there's a switch on the transfer case that actuates the differential front actuator, and it puts the front differential into lock. The light doesn't come on until the front differential is in the lock position. It has nothing to do with the transfer case. So as soon as you put it into four-wheel drive, the light won't come on until that actuator is fully engaged and the front end is locked. So if you were bypassing that, you should still get that light unless there's no power to that front differential. If you don't have the full battery voltage to it, yeah, it's not going to light the light, and it's not going to power the actuator, but it's also not going to light the light. It may be that your ground is weak or you've got corrosion on the power side. But we'd start at the beginning. We would go to the transfer case, to the switch on that, and check, do I have battery voltage coming into the switch but not coming out? If that's the case, you get a new switch.
Okay.
But if not, if you've got
I did not check the transfer case.
Yeah, check that coming in. If you got battery voltage that's low coming in and low going out, you got to find out why it's low coming in. You can follow that back up to the fuse box, check power. We've had some of the fuse boxes in those fail and cause issues, so they've got low voltage. But that's where we'd start, the one switch on that transfer case.
All three grounds up front seem to be good. When you put the transfer case in and out of four-wheel and two-wheel, the one ground goes away and shows up, and I thought that's the way it's supposed to work. And I did check all the grounds. They all have good, matched battery voltage for the three grounds. So that's why I determined I got a power issue. Your good tip about knowing there's a switch on the transfer case. I'll have to go back there and look.
That's what turns out. You don't have voltage on those grounds, do you?
No.
Okay, good. Should be 0 on all of them.
They are.
Okay, good.
But
then
when I
they're working.
ran a ground right to the battery, they all tested out to having good grounds, because I did go for that before doing anything. I went to that wire underneath the cab on the left side and cleaned it, and no change. It's like, uh-oh.
Yeah. Now, some of those systems,
the ground.
I'd have to look at the wiring diagram to see on this one, but some of them run a relay. So they'll run 5 volts from the computer to the switch on the transfer case, and then that transfer case switch powers the four-wheel drive relay, and that relay is what sends the 12 volts to the front axle actuator. So you'd have to look at the diagram
so
first.
When the system's working properly, how does it come out to disengage that front differential little shift solenoid motor, whatever you want to call that thing? That's like a solenoid, I guess.
It sends power.
That?
It sends power up to it, and that has a little thermal piece in there that engages it. And then when you disconnect power, it cools down and goes the other direction.
Oh, because ever since I jumped it, it's locked in permanently.
Then it's broken.
Which got me through the winter.
It should.
The front axle is locked in permanently. The transfer case is in two-wheel drive.
I don't think that one goes both. I think it's a power on, it's engaged, power off, it's disengaged. I don't think it has a two-way
and never,
but a wiring diagram would tell you
never underestimate the fact that if you physically remove it, that something could be stuck in the front differential also.
Mm-hmm.
But nevertheless, my light's not coming on, so I know I got multiple problems. Is what I'm determining here.
Well, it gave you some ideas. So hopefully you can dig a little deeper and get her figured out.
Art, thanks very much for the call. 866-594-4150. Let's talk to Don. You're on the End of the Hood Show. Don, what can we do for you?
Well, good morning, gang. I've got this last winter I bought a 37 Studebaker Dictator hot rod, and was told that it had a 383 stroker in it, and it's got aluminum heads and a mini ram set up for the fuel injection. And my initial problem was low fuel pressure. It's only running about 21 pounds, and so I started with the obvious. I changed the fuel filter. I gained a couple of pounds, and so then I dropped the tank, and the tank had been modified to accept a in-tank pump, and there was a whole bunch of metal shavings in the bottom of the tank and into the pickup screen, and so I thought, well, that's probably it right there, and my guess is that when they modified that tank, they didn't clean it very well after they were done, and so I got a magnet in there and flushed it all out, and I still didn't get. I think I got up to 26 pounds, and the thing idles very, very rich, and from what I've been reading, when you have a high performance cam, that you're going to probably have some rich at idle. And so anyway, the fuel pressure regulator I found out was adjustable, so I cranked it in, was able to get it up to about 45, which I figured was about right, but it drops 20 pounds pressure within 5 minutes after shutting it off.
Don, hold on a second. Let's stop you right there for a second. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll try and figure this out. Meanwhile, you're listening to the Under the Hood Show. 866-594-4150. We'll be right back.
YouTube certified mechanic. Yeah, that's not quite what they mean by certified mechanic. This is Under the Hood.
866-594-4150. Don't forget, you can always catch an episode you missed or any episodes going back like 1,000 episodes, wherever you get your podcast. You can also watch the show on our YouTube channels. If you subscribe there and you join the Hoodie Fan Club, you could win a hoodie.
Like Gerard Collins, congratulations from our friends over at Berkeley One Classics. They're celebrating over 50 years of collector car coverage. BerkeleyOneClassics.com.
All right, Shannon, fill us back in on Don and his Studebaker.
Well, we've got a Berkeley One Classic
for sure
call we held over the break with Don and his 37 Studebaker Dictator hot rod with a 383 stroker that has been well done, it sounds like, but he doesn't have fuel pressure. And we had just gotten to the fact that he did the filter, he gained a couple pounds, he pulled the tank, he checked the pump, and then he realized that he had an adjustable fuel pressure regulator, and he got it up to 45 pounds, and now where are we at, Don?
Well, it's kind of erratic. It leaks down pretty fast, whereas that from what I understand, that regulator should hold that pressure longer than 5 minutes. So I put new injectors in it. The plugs were all carboned up black, like it'd been running really rich. I put a new O2 sensor in it because it was all sooted up as well. And anyway, I put it back together yesterday, and with the pressure up to around 45, it seemed to run really good. But the richness, like if I own a small used car dealership, and I have it inside running while I'm working on it, and it just chokes you out. And so I don't want to get the crankcase full of gas, obviously. And so I'm wondering how I fix this richness. I've already ordered a new regulator. I'm going to do a frame mount. And so I think I've got that figured out. My next question is timing. I've heard that when you have a bigger cam, that my vacuum pressure on my intake is about 11 pounds, which what I read was that's kind of normal when you have a big cam in something. So when it's low like that, it's telling the engine that it's under load to give it more gas. The engine came out of a 93 Pontiac Firebirds as a 5.7, and they had the VIN written right on the outside of the PCM.
So it's an LT1.
And, yeah. So what is it just normal that a higher performance engine is going to idle that rich?
Does it have a mass airflow, or has it got the MAP sensor on it?
I don't know.
On your air intake tube going into the engine, does it have a mass airflow sensor on that air intake tube, or just an air cleaner stuffed on the front of it?
No, it's got it's mounted on the side of that.
What's mounted on the side? It does have an electric sensor in the air intake.
In line, in the air.
Yeah.
A big one, not just the small 2-pin, which is the intake air temp sensor, but it's got a big 4-pin or 5-pin connect, something.
With a screen and, the air runs through it.
I'll have to get under the hood and look again.
Because if it's not a mass airflow, if it's a speed density system with a map sensor and a throttle position sensor, it can't adjust for that cam. The one with the mass airflow sensor can adapt for that to a point, but that bigger cam, lower vacuum, it's going to run rich unless it's got a mass airflow. And then all those, when you change the cam, you're supposed to tune them, but that's a car you tune with a chip before it's OBD1. Finding a chip for those, there's still
chip, right?
It's a prom chip, but there are still a couple companies out there that burn those chips, but they're not even companies. They're just a guy in his backyard, in his garage, doing them. But they're doing them.
He probably worked at a company at one point.
Yeah, very hard to find those out there. But you tell them what you've got in there for the engine, and they custom make the chip for you to tune it. Otherwise, we'd say you take this to a tuner and have them do it on the fly and get this thing dialed in perfectly, which they can. It's great for a OBD2 car, but not for this older one. And you don't want a car like that running rich all the time. It would have to be mechanically tuned in order to get rid of that issue. With the mass airflow, though, it can help.
I talked to a tuner, and he told me that that PCM is not tunable anymore, so he'd have to
because you can't get a chip.
Upgrade the whole system.
Yeah, you can't get the chip. You'd have to find somebody that does. So he doesn't do it, but there are very few people out there that can still do it. But you can find it if you look at the forums. You'll find somebody with a link to the guy who still has chips and does them in their
Go
backyard.
to Jimmy. Jimmy will take care of you. He's got this. When 5 people start pointing to Jimmy, call Jimmy.
Right.
The company up in Canada was doing them that does huge tuning. Westers, I think Westers Garage. They were doing them, but then they said, "Yeah, we're not going to." Just the one company that was doing the tuning, anyways. They said they're not going to do them anymore because they just only had, they have a couple a year. There's a lot of comebacks on those people wanting changes, and they got to want more chips and the whole thing. And
good thing
can you buy them
for Don? It's almost summer, and then there'll be more shows where he can go try and find someone who has a guy
outside. Yeah, true. You might find somebody like that at Back to the 50s, but most of them are just saying, "Hey, just upgrade it to OBD2," and
or they'd say it's back to the 50s, Don, not the 30s. That's what they would.
I am curious I am curious when he said it would need to be upgraded.
What's the
what did he say? That might answer another question.
Well, to a tunable either PCM or an ECM, and because he can't plug into this and do anything with it.
I didn't know if he told you something specific because, you're kind of locked in pre-OBD2 there without.
I did see, I just glanced at it, but I did see there was a company about 10 years ago that was they were using an OBD2 computer, like from an LS series engine with the cable-driven throttle for like a 99 to 2001 Chevy truck. They had adapted it to plug that computer in because remember all the LTs, you couldn't buy a computer anymore. They were burning up. You couldn't get a good one and they were expensive. So it's like, if I got to spend $1,000 or $1,300 for a used LT computer, I'm just going to buy the LS computer.
So that was a conversion that somebody was doing.
And they sold a conversion harness. It plugged into the LT on one side. It was about a foot long, and it plugged into the LS on the other side, and it came with a brand new computer, and then you had to have your own guy flash it. That was cheaper than trying to fix your original computer because really, it's tuning because everything else is a hardwire. You've got a map sensor. You've got a mass airflow. If you've got that, you've got a coolant temp sensor. You've got O2 sensors. You've got a crank sensor. You feed all that into any computer. You feed that into a Nissan 280Z computer, if whatever, I'm talking about. You put it in anything, as long as you tune it correct, you're good to go. And you'd need a flashable computer in order to do it.
We got some steps to follow there, Don. Some trails to lead down. Before we go, though,
this cool car that I personally, my sister would be embarrassed, but I had to look on the internet at the break to see what exactly it looked like. Mm-hmm. Two-door car, correct?
Yes, it's 3-window.
Yeah. We got to guess the color.
Yeah.
It's a Berkeley One Classic, and I'm going to guess this.
It's not, I'm assuming it's not the original color still.
Right.
Okay.
It's candy apple red, I think.
I'm going to stick with my guess from a previous contest and say yellow.
Why has nobody ever guessed pink on this show?
Oh.
It's not pink. I'm not guessing that. It's
Okay.
black.
Orange. It is gorgeous.
What color is it?
It is gorgeous. Sunset orange.
It's orange.
It's kind of a burnt orange.
Oh, look at
Why
that.
did somebody
So
go with
what
that? The last car was. The wheel stander was orange, too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Here's what I want to do. I want to send you guys a picture of it.
Okay.
And when you get it, put it in a cheap frame or something, hang it in your studio there, and then you send me a hoodie.
Okay.
All right.
Doug,
Deal.
hook him up. And,
No. Don't hook him up yet.
What, with the hoodie?
Wait till he sends the picture.
Oh,
Yeah.
Doug, you got to get all the, well, the info will come on his thing,
The
won't it?
listener wall of fame.
And hey, Mark Watson, with your wheel standing car, you need to send us a picture of that vehicle too. You got to have promo photos of that, right?
Yeah,
for sure.
And at least put it on our Facebook page. Get it to
And,
us and put it on our Facebook page.
And by the way, Bruce, who won a hoodie here not too long ago, Bruce Jakubukas or something from New Hampshire.
Mm-hmm.
Incomplete address.
Get in touch with us.
Get in touch with us so we can get your hoodie out because it came back.
We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we want to hear from you. 866-594-4150. You're listening to the Under the Hood Show.
Never, ever use your tongue to see if your car battery is good. Seriously, we mean it. This is Under the Hood.
866-594-4150. That's the number to reach us here at the Under the Hood Show. Let's go down to Arizona and talk to Tom. You're on the Under the Hood Show. Tom, what can we do for you?
Oh, yeah. Hi. Thanks for talking to me.
You bet.
Hey, I called in 2 weeks ago. Mr. Call did this, did that, and we got together today. The problem was I had on my 98 Dodge 2500 to 5.9 diesel is that the check engine light came on. Okay, so I looked at that and I did everything I could do at the house that I know how to do, and still wouldn't. And I cleared it, but it came back on. So I took it down to AutoZone. They plugged in their reader, and the first time they plugged it in, nothing came up. So they took it apart. They took their reader out and they plugged it back in. Then it come up. And it basically said there was nothing going on. But at that point, I couldn't clear the check engine light. So I ran it that way for a week or so. And it was bothering me that the light was on. So I took it down to another mechanic that I knew, and he's got like 3 of these Dodgers within 3 years of mine. And he was telling me about different things, problems that he's had with it. And I took it in there. So he plugged it in. And when he first plugged it in, he got no reading at all again. So he said, well, I'm going to get a different reader. So he went and got another reader and put on there. Still nothing. So then he came up with the thinking that the what was that, OBI that they plug into?
The OBD port?
The OBD port. He figured out there was something wrong with that there was a wire loose or something. So I left him with the truck, and they went in and checked that further out, and there was a wire loose in it. And so anyway, he got all that fixed up, and everything's running fine.
Oh,
so that's all it was. It's just that you had a plug-in terminal on your OBD port.
That's what they tell me. I know nothing about electronics, so I just go by what they tell me.
Well, what that did is gave them the ability to communicate properly so they could clear the code, because apparently that wasn't syncing up because there was multiple devices that wouldn't work on that port.
Right.
But that alone should not have caused the check engine light to come on.
Unless 2 wires were shorted together on it.
Yeah, maybe they pulled out the back and got up against each other
Somebody
or something.
might have cut them to tap something into it, into the data wires, trying to tie in a remote starter or something like that at some point, and that would do some issues.
But if they got the wiring straight and your code is gone and hasn't come back on, let not your heart be troubled and keep driving.
There you go. That's a great. That's the best way to get.
As long as the truck's running fine and you don't notice anything different, just wait for the next light.
Tom, thanks very much for the call. 866-594-4150. Let's talk to Shannon. You're on the End of the Hood Show. Shannon, what can we do for you?
Yeah, I've got a 2014 Flex, and I did all the struts and the tie rod ends and the sway bar links on it and had it aligned. The struts were pretty bad, and they were clunking before I replaced them, and I put these new struts on that I ordered online, and I had good. Ordered from the same place before, and I thought they were decent quality. Anyway, the new struts were nice and smooth for about 2 weeks, and now they're making a clunking noise again. Do you think they're just poor quality struts, or I got something else banging around up there? And I did retorque the mounting nuts and all that stuff after I ran it for a little while.
If they went on easy, you didn't have to pry anything to where it had a torque load on it when you put the bolt in to get it to fit. If it just bolted on, bolted off, unbolted fine, it's probably just a poor quality strut.
Okay. So they're fine. They're just going to be noisy to drive around for a while.
Noise either means they're poor quality and they're weak and you've got some wear items like some clearance in the part, or something could be ready to fall off. So safety-wise, you better check it, make sure it
Shannon, when I saw the note come up on the color board, I thought you wanted to talk to just me. And so I felt it was kind of personal, so now I feel like I need to jump in here.
Right.
The noise that you had and the noise that you have now that you were trying to get rid of, are they distinctly different or are they the same?
No, they're the same. And like I said, for 2 weeks after I put the new struts on, it was smooth and not a single noise. And I live on a gravel road, and so, there's a lot of bouncing going on. And then I just started about 2 weeks later, I just started noticing it, and it's progressively gotten a little bit louder.
could be a sway bar link too. When you're prying around on those things, putting struts on.
Yeah.
Sometimes you put a strut on, and then you're like, "Oh, they're good today," but then they've come back. I've had them come back in a couple weeks, and I'm like, "Well, you just got a sway bar link that's bad." And they're like, "Well, why didn't you replace that when you did the struts?" It's like, well, that's money you'd have to spend. When you took off, you said it was fine for a couple weeks, right? Yeah. Well, then we didn't need to replace it then.
I did put new sway bar links, new tie rod ends. I did it, pretty much everything, and I had done a lower control arm and stuff earlier before I did this. So the
bushings on the sway bar too, not just the links, but look at the bushings on the bar. And those are usually unloaded, so when it's sitting on the ground, you might be able to move it up and down a little bit by hand. I've had bushings up.
Okay.
Bushings in my Camaro just decided they're going to make noise. They were quiet, not a noise out of them. I park it for 3 months. I get in it and I drive out. And I'm like, what is broken under there? Horrible noise.
Yeah.
And I look at it, and I mean, it's got huge clearance in it, like the temperature did it, because it made no noise before, and now it's clunk, clunk, clunk. Like, wow, that was fast.
Yeah, and I did put it up on ramps and kind of got under there to see if I could find anything that was clunking. I can't make it clunk by just pushing up and down on the struts on the car. I can only do it when I'm driving. But yeah, so.
Yeah, you're getting down to checking, some of maybe the bushings on the cradle to make sure they're tight and everything's good there. Something could have shifted. I'd just go back and double check my work. And you said you retorqued everything, but I just kind of walk back the steps of what I did. But if not, if it gets down to it, you might have just got. But it's just odd that the strut that he put on would have the same noise situation as the noise that he had before, isn't it, Russ?
If they came off of Amazon, that would make sense.
Yeah, that's probably it. So I didn't want to go straight to that because I've had good luck ordering suspension parts from them before, and
I like to go right into a brick and mortar, Advance Auto Parts, go to the counter, because if there's a problem, you just walk back in and go,
here it is.
Broken. Yeah. And they say, here's warranty, goodbye, and you're fixed, and they usually don't break in the first place. But you're a crapshoot when you're trying the Amazon thing. I understand why people do it, and it can work occasionally, but
for certain things.
Yeah, like when I need that new water filter, I make sure I get the the one that's probably worse for me than the actual water I'm drinking out of the tap.
I'm not the only one that has that thought when I was
fiberglass. It's fine.
Yeah.
Shannon, thanks very much for the call. Good luck. Got a question on the chat here. Off the wall question. It's not that off the wall for this show.
The monitor.
Off the wall question for a boat motor, Mercruser 3.0i.
Okay.
Or 3.0 liter. What do you think that is? Wondering where
That's a 3-liter V6 Mercury fuel injected engine.
Wondering where the exhaust flapper goes. It's long gone on mine.
Where the exhaust flapper goes?
Did it got knocked off, right? On the back?
Yeah, it probably rotted and blew off.
Yeah.
On the tailpipe.
Yeah, I think that's...
And that wouldn't matter what motor it has.
Yeah, on the outdrive. It just had a cover on the outdrive, but so either on boats you either have a through hull exhaust, and most of those are just open. There's no flapper on them. I mean, I don't even know it. Most people don't. They were gone. I don't know why anybody puts them back on, but yeah, you've got the through hull. They're either open or they've got a flap. Some of them will have a cap, like you see those rain caps on there, but they don't do a whole lot. Or they go through the bellows and right through the outdrive, and they exit the prop right through the center of the prop. That's the exhaust. It runs down the whole thing, and then it's cooled by the water around it, and the manifolds are cooled by the water on the engine. So, but that I don't. For me, I mean, so many of them come in. Most of them were gone that I saw that had the little tailpipe flat. They were right above the prop. There was an exhaust outlet on the outdrive, and there was a little rubber piece right there where the exhaust came out there instead of coming through the prop. Because if it's old enough, they didn't have a through prop. They had through the top of the outdrive, just above the prop.
There you go. Hope that answers your... It was kind of an off-the-wall question, turns out. What? Let's talk about where you were. You were traveling around.
Yeah, I am. I'm gone to Toronto, Canada, and I was up there for the ORA convention, which is the Ontario Automotive Recyclers Association.
Okay. Did you have to give it in French and English?
You know what? There was French people there, and I don't know how they handled my South Dakota butchering of the English language, but
same as we all do.
Yeah,
we learn it.
Yeah, very well received presentation, and I just really enjoyed my time up there with those folks. They were very, very welcoming, and it was interesting because every time I met somebody, I have to say, okay, where are you from here? Because they would name the name of their town they're in, and I had no clue.
Sure.
And it was fun. It was a lot of fun, and did a yard tour at Carconi's in up that way, and we were by Markham.
On the island?
And no. And they had a specialty at their place they've done for, Russ is on something there, I'm not. Specialty at their place for 30 plus years. They've been doing wheel refinishing. So Chris, you would have been in a euphoric state.
Yeah.
Because I watched them run their lathes for the wheels and the diamond measurement system that they use before it starts cutting that little layer off to refinish it.
Do they balance the wheel when they're done?
Yeah.
By cutting some off of it?
Yeah, and they don't. It's just crazy how much they had one they were showing for display. I go, that one's only going to be about this big by the time the show's over. But they had 4 of those machines in their place, and we got to see that. I've never seen that process done. I got a video of it. I can probably pop it up on the YouTube page or on the Facebook page. But got to see that, and got to spend time with other people in the industry, listening to their challenges with Canada versus what we are challenged with here. The one that I found the most interesting was geopolitical stuff, in the fact that in the one room we were in, we had insurance companies, auto recyclers, a person representing the Automotive Alliance, and the challenge they were all having is, we need to fix cars. If we total those cars, customer might choose a different insurance company, and they might choose a different vehicle manufacturer. Yeah. And now they might choose a Chinese lower-priced car that's been allowed to come into our country.
Right.
And there was a lot of geopolitical challenges that I was getting to see the other side of the border, and it was very eye-opening. And definitely can see where the challenges are real for them with what's been happening in the big world.
That's going to do it for this hour of the Under the Hood Show. Thanks for listening. Until next time, you can find us at underthehoodshow.com. All right, you guys want to, it's been a while. You want to do what do you got for the after show? We do have a call. We can take that. You want to do that?
Let's do it.
All right, let's do that. What are you doing? What's that face? What's that face over there?
I'm ready when
He's
you
got
are.
a face, right?
I didn't see it. I was looking down.
Yeah. Look at, that's the face right there. Look at him. He's doing it.
That was just one of them.
Mom!
That's one of the in between.
He's looking at me,
one
Mom.
of those in between gear shift faces.
Yes. Or it's the one where I'm like, move on. I have terrible thoughts in my head. I can't say what I want to say, so just.
I was
ignore
thinking
me.
of the movie. Was it Canadian Bacon with John Candy and what's the one where the ghost Dan Aykroyd? So he's the cop that pulls him over, and they're driving the big truck, and it's got all these profanities against Canada written all over it. And the cop pulls him over to say, when I asked him about the French, did you do it in French? And he says, hey, don't you know you cannot have English in bigger letters in Canada than French? So you need to write, your profanities in French larger than the English.
No, nothing. I got nothing.
Yeah,
I did have some Canadian bacon for breakfast and on a sandwich.
When Chris and I went to Montreal.
Uh-huh.
Now you were in French-speaking territory.
Yes, very much so. And I tell you what, when we went to it was like more of a restaurant than a bar, but it was an area where people could get drinks and food, and it was very large. It was kind of like an Applebee's, but it was in the hotel. And I'd say, other than us being there from America and our group, most everybody was speaking French.
Oh, yeah.
And occasionally they just look at us if they were too close, and they're like, oh, I'm sorry. Didn't you understand that? Let me say it in English for you. And then they were like that. And it wasn't like they were being rude. It was like they were just saying, oh, you might have missed what I said.
Yeah.
And I'm so interesting that I want to tell you in English. And they would say something and we'd be like, oh, okay.
Yeah, it was interesting. They just spoke French. I mean, they didn't.
And English very well. Like
100%.
You wouldn't know the difference between the two.
But if we weren't there, they
all
all spoke French as their first language and English. But
and sometimes when we sat down, like the waitress would come up and start speaking in French, and we'd go, yeah, I'll have a.
They were,
and they just switched.
They were
like
pretty good at in the hotel and restaurants.
And you looked at the menu, you were like,
yeah.
Everything in French was bigger.
That was good. That was fun.
The bus ride was the scariest thing.
croissants.
I keep going back to that bus ride in the ice.
Oh yeah.
Going to the track, the racetrack.
Yes.
It just haunts my mind. I've had dreams about it.
Yeah.
We were clicking along at probably 60, 70 miles per
ice
hour.
road bussers.
Yeah, in an ice storm.
Uh-huh.
And on a 2-lane highway, and we were trucking it, and we were sliding and slipping, and we're going through the mountains, and we're up in the front, and we're like, is this safe? And the driver's up there. It was his iPod on. It was like,
it had to be fine. They wouldn't bring guests up there and do that, would they? Let's talk to Ben in North Carolina. Ben, you're on the Under the Hood Show. What can we do for you?
Hey, buddy. How you doing? A great show. I really enjoy what I've been hearing.
Thanks very much.
I got a 2008 Jeep Patriot. Now, we bought it secondhand. It's got 125,000 miles on it. It started with the clock spring. It went bad, so I went down to the dealership, paid the $385 for a new one, and put a new clock spring in. Then that took care of everything. I got my cruise control back, my ABS, everything worked. My traction control, or what they call it, ESP on that, worked. Everything was fine. It worked great. Well, then my wife hit during the storm down here, she hit a big block of ice and messed up one of the struts. So I replaced all 4 struts. I've already replaced all 4 hubs or the bearings. And I said, while I'm in here, because they're a little rusty and everything, I'll go ahead and replace all 4 of the wheel sensors. and they're standards from O'Reilly's. I know you like Advance, but O'Reilly's is closer to my house. So I went ahead and put all 4 standards on, and everything was working fine. But now it's got this little quirk that when you start to take off, only in drive, not in reverse, and it does it whether it's in the manual mode or the standard. Got that CVCC transmission or CVTC, whatever it's called. It's got that transmission that you hit it, and it's like a go-kart, just winds out, just keeps going. It does change gears, but you can't really feel it. And then my traction controller ESP light comes on my 4-wheel drive with the exclamation mark comes on and starts flashing. And it automatically brakes. I hit the button on the ESP, it'll drive fine. I can go from here to eternity with it with the button on with the ESP off.
Have you looked for any codes?
I checked it out. Codes in it? I have. I did. I did not find any general OBD2 codes. I went into the enhanced mode for Jeep or Chrysler, and I couldn't find anything there. So I went into SRS. There was nothing there, but ABS did show up a code. It said wheel speed indicator not working, and it didn't tell me which one was it. So I went down. I took all 4 of them off, went back to O'Reilly's, got another set of 4, put another 4 back on there. Everything took off, and it still does the same thing. It's continuing to do the same thing. I don't know if I've got a bad tone ring. I don't know if I've got a program in the computer that just went stupid. I don't know what's going on.
Well, you're going to have somebody read the data and record it as you're driving. You need a scanner that can record, and you're going to have to look at it. And let's say you look at the vehicle speed and it says 32 miles an hour. Then you look at the wheel speed of each wheel and see which one is lower than the rest or higher than the rest. It's going to be different. You can put it in graph mode, and one of them's going to have a mountain peak higher or valley lower than the rest of them. Then you need to go to that wheel and follow the wiring up. Look at the tone ring, make sure the tone ring's good, and then once you've done that, verified that's good.
How do you look at the tone ring?
Well, does that one have?
How do you look at the tone ring?
If it's got just a sensor stuck in the steering knuckle, and then it has a wheel bearing that's bolted, that's bolt on, not a press on, it doesn't have a toe ring. It's got a magnet.
I changed the whole knuckle.
Okay, then it's got a
I
it's got a
changed the
magnet.
whole knuckle.
But if it's got a tone ring, it's located on the CV shaft. That's how all cars work. You look at the CV shaft, and it'll have teeth on it with a sensor sticking through the knuckle. So if you don't see any teeth anywhere, the tone ring is in the hub itself, which you already replaced. But that would tell me that we have a wire that's maybe got a break in it. Usually the front, one of those wires running up the strut will have a break where it twists a lot.
That help you out there?
Well, they're all brand new.
The wire,
they're all
the way
brand
up?
new. So
you replaced the wire from the hub.
Yeah, I run the wire.
You got a wire from the hub that goes up, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Then the tone ring's internal.
The sensor that has all the body clips that go from there all the way up.
Yep. Follow that wire.
The whole thing.
Look at the harness, though. Look at that harness up past where it plugs in. It could have a break right at the connector, or it could have a mouse that's chewed on it or something. You want to look at that, but first you got to verify
usually
which
the front
wheel
ones that cause that issue.
They're the ones that move the most, so we find it there. But you've got to verify it first by looking at the data to see which wheel it is, which one's slower or faster than the rest of them. Then you can verify it, and if you verify that the wiring is perfect from that wheel all the way up, and the tires are all exactly the same tread depth and size, so we know they're spinning. If one of them's worn more than the other, it will cause this issue as well. But then it leads you to the computer. If the wiring's good, the sensors are good, the hubs are good.
They're all less than a year old. She drives it 7 miles a day back and forth to work. That's as far away, and then that's it. And it's my wife. But it does take off like a jackrabbit and slam on the brake.
Check them, because if it was out of line, it could wear a tire down, 30 seconds more than another one and still look pretty nice.
Ben, thanks very much for the call. Good luck. 866-594-4150.
Yeah, Ben is hanging up saying, gosh darn it, I wish they would have just gave me something really definite.
Mm-hmm.
But there's checking that has to be done to figure out which corner he needs to focus on.
We don't have a lot of definite. We have this is something we see a lot in our own shops making repair, but you still need to diagnose it and find out.
Because he sounded like he had 6, 7, 8 wrenches of knowledge.
Yeah.
No, he wasn't. He's tried. He's been digging in and learning and trying stuff and replacing stuff. Spent fair amount of money.
For sure.
And time.
Yeah. That's a bummer when you've done the stuff. He did what he was supposed to. He did it. He was supposed to,
He's replaced 8 wheel speed sensors.
Yeah. And then yeah. Well, there
right?
You go.
He did them 4 and then he did 4 again.
Right.
Yeah.
So he replaced 8.
And he's still having a problem. But there again, that's sometimes where spending that extra money for somebody that has the knowledge and the tools combined that they've done this before, they can get that graph data and see, okay, I'm going to concentrate my efforts on the right rear wheel because that's where my problem is coding in or coming in at. I'm seeing a difference in speed on that. I've got to concentrate right there.
I want to bring up something. The CVT transmission on my car. I have a 22 Civic.
Time to change that fluid.
So I was talking to my brother one day about
the Amigo?
No, I was just saying I was not thrilled with the Civic. It's a great car. It's everything I need. It's the perfect car to buy. But on Saturday when you're reading Motor Trend or something, it's not like the Pontiac was. You know what I mean? You know what I mean. So he said, well, do you drive it in sport mode ever? I'm like, no. I said it has eco, normal, and sport.
Yeah, you were talking about that with the shifting.
Yeah, and he said, put it in sport. My wife had an Accord and we had a Civic before that. It's more fun in sport. Just always switch it into sport when you get in. So I thought, and it is. It's way different. It drives completely different, and it's fun. It's more fun. But I thought, I drive a lot of miles. I don't want to be, I want to be an eco. So I did an experiment, and so far I've driven it like 540 miles in sport or normal, because it defaults to normal each time. I have not had it in eco. And I checked the mileage in both eco and in sport mode. Right now it's at 0.6 miles to the gallon difference on the computer.
Is it better or worse?
No, it's worse. But that might just be me
in sport
pushing. Yeah, that might just be me pushing down. So in sport, I'm driving down the road. If I'm going 80 miles an hour down the interstate in sport, or in eco rather, it's at like 1,500 to 1,800 RPMs. If I switch it to sport, it revs up and sits at about 2,800, 2,900 RPM for a while.
Unlocking the torque converter.
Yeah. And it makes the noise, but I don't even think it's doing anything. I think it's just
it changes the transmission shift pattern is what it does.
I don't think it does even.
It's unlocking the torque converter,
I
revving
think
it up.
what it's doing is it's just the TV screen. It's just like playing Duck Hunt on my Nintendo. I put it in sport, and the TV screen on my dash goes, oh, okay, and it changes the setting. I don't even think it's doing anything.
Well, here's something that I think is kind of smart to say. We get a lot of people call us about plugging in a tuner, doing different things, and what kind of change am I going to get? Am I going to get better fuel economy? And we most of the time say, more than likely, it's you got to make that choice. But unless you choose to drive different, you're gonna have a hard time getting the full value out of that addition. I think that's a good example what you did. Pushing that button is similar to some of the adjustments that an aftermarket tuner might make on another car that doesn't have that button.
Right.
And so those are the minute differences it can make sometimes and still stay within the parameters of what it's allowed by federal law. And so a lot of the tuner companies are very careful on stock cars because of, well,
sure,
they don't want fines and getting their hands slapped and everything else. But that is, to me, a comparison to what happens when people ask us sometimes about aftermarket tuners on standard cars that haven't been modified with the cam, haven't been modified with very different tuning and, a custom tuner coming in and really working on getting different flow of injectors in it. And they're doing all this kind of stuff to make this baby run how you want it. That's way different than the stuff you plug into a standard car. And I think this is a good comparison. Is that fair, Russ?
Right on.
But in this case, I bet you that sport button is probably not just the transmission. It's got some other things it's doing probably
certainly tightens up the steering. Way different, yeah.
Oh, yeah. You can change the steering rate because you got electric steering on it. The suspension, if you've got suspension that's set up that way.
It doesn't coast as easy. For sure, it slows down quicker if you take off.
Well, you think of the old foreign vehicles we used to have, like a 90 Accord or something like that had a button on it.
The click button.
Yeah, that was I'm pretty sure that was just the transmission torque converter when they did sport mode. But
there you go. All right. Anything else, guys?
I got all kinds of things I can talk about. We don't need that much.
Eventually, we'll talk about the DEF, but right now it doesn't. We're just waiting.
Well, Russ, did you do something yet?
Yeah. Well, don't think you can disable the DEF on your older truck.
Let's just leave it for that right now.
There's nothing right now.
This is not an all clear to go start rolling coal on your neighbors.
A lot of talk about DEF and the regulations and the laws, but as for us, for the consumer, nothing.
You're still going to get in trouble if you delete your trucks.
And it looks like they
and you can't just do it. So don't do it. I mean, don't do anything.
It looks like they are going to do some changes that'll be at the dealer level. So if you've got a new vehicle and it's still under warranty, even some that may not be, you'll be able to go into the dealer when that basically a recall,
when all those lawsuits are done,
takes effect, and you'll be able to go in and at the minimum, it's going to disable so your truck will say when there's a DEF problem, it says disabling vehicle, basically reducing power. You can only drive the thing like 10 miles an hour when it gets to the certain point. It'll disable that function. It's not disabling the DEF, so don't think you can stop putting the DEF in the truck. And it also is going to change the way they monitor the DEF by, instead of monitoring the DEF sensor, it's monitoring the O2 sensor to see if it's working. So it's keeping your emissions intact, and there'll be more coming.
And that's down. All of the things you're saying are not true now yet.
No, but they can. They can take a truck. They have the capability to take like your 2022 Ram, and just reflash it, and make it still operate, but change it. But people are thinking in their heads, we can just disable it.
But they're also not going to do that right now.
Yeah, it hasn't come out yet. It's just what they say.
That's what I want
to do, but they've got to approve it, and you'll get letters.
What
like
you're
everybody
saying,
else gets.
well, that's what I wanted to be clear on. What you're saying is what they're saying
what they're proposing.
Will be. Yes.
Yeah.
Nothing.
And I think that would be great, because our biggest failure we have in DEF systems, aside from people putting the wrong DEF in or putting diesel fuel in their DEF tank, is that the sensors fail and they can't read it properly. So if they could just get the thing to read right and say, "Oh yeah, you're working,"
and they're going to read a sensor that's already on the vehicle,
right?
Is what the proposal is.
It's just a change from, instead of reading this one on this side, you're going to read this one on this side.
If we're not talking about this, we're talking about it, but just realize that this was driven by the agriculture industry and the trucking industry, and they're really pushing, because when that truck is down. So reading through the stuff, I read it fast, but if that light that used to come on and told you had 30 miles to get somewhere, and it would depower the truck to 10 miles an hour, there is going to be a different series of steps, and it still has a sunset on it, but it might be 4,000 miles, so you can finish your planting season or finish your harvest season or complete your run to get back to your own home truck shop instead of being broken down on the road and having to get towed in.
The FedEx driver doesn't care about deleting his box truck.
No.
He cares about the $6,000 that they're going to make over a course of a day delivering all those packages. That's what
they're all subcontractors.
Yeah.
And they got to go.
They need that thing going. And when it's sitting on the side of the road and you see them getting towed all the time, all these delivery companies, it's costing a lot of money.
Oh, it's
and
crazy.
Where does it go? They pass it on to us because they have to make it up somewhere.
Yeah. So that's something I noticed, is that just realize that this was not something they talked about for the recreational diesel person that drives a diesel. This is driven by the trucking and the agriculture industry to say, let these people finish their jobs. Quit shutting their equipment off. Now, if you ignore it long enough, we're still going to shut your equipment off.
Right.
I think that's what I got out of it. I think I saw 4,000 miles somewhere in one of the stories that I was reading. And that's way different than what it is now. Right now, that thinking you might go 30 miles and all of a sudden you're down to a D grade and you're just crawling and can't get anything done. Period.
And
And the truck's still running, it's still running fine.
And all of that is all in the future, not relevant yet.
But I like the direction they're thinking for that regard for the speed of commerce.
Sure. Yeah,
I like that, and I think that the environmental folks, if you can just relax, it's not like they're trying to say, oh, we're just letting her blow into the air. It's no, we just give it some parameters here. We're so much better than we were 30 years ago. Doesn't mean we stop, but let the equipment keep working until you can finish the work for that job or that run or that whatever, and don't end up. People are still going to ignore it and have problems.
Volkswagen right now is listening to you going, yeah.
No, don't cheat it.
All right. Thanks, everybody.